Hello, it's Friday, and welcome, Jason. Welcome, Felton. Thank you for being here. I want to start off today with a fun fact. So, fun fact is, well, I don't know if it's so much fun. It's certainly a fact. I keep getting bit by fire ants. So, I'm on this new property, as I was telling you, Jason, and I'm scooping up like debris, palm fronds, stuff like that. Well, yesterday I scooped up fronds and bit fire ants all over my hand. What occurred to me this morning is those suckers are resilient. I mean, so they are tiny, but they're fierce. And hi, Leslie. Hi, Wes. They are, it's amazing to me. I mean, I want to read this to you because a friend of mine, I'm like, what does this mean? Why do I keep getting bit by fire ants? And so this is what she sent to me. She says, ants represent diligence, patience, forethought, planning, all qualities which help the ant colony achieve their collective goals. The ant symbolizes hard work. Isn't that cool?
I mean, and it's to the point too. It's something
right?
them, so they were ready to protect and keep doing what they needed to do to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why it felt good to open with that today, but I mean, I think it's right in the spirit of what we're talking about today, right? Resilience, teamwork, what it means to be resilient, what it means to help each other. So which one of you, let's start off with introducing each of yourselves and the RBLP family, and then we'll move into resilience in the conversation. So who wants to go first?
Yeah, Felton, you want to jump on that?
All right, Felton Williams. I don't know if I want to say where I'm from or anything like that. It's so awkward, right? But
okay, we can keep you in secret.
East Coast guy, veteran. Just recently retired from the Marine Corps. Now, I got the honor to be with the RBLP family and be able to share my leadership experience and learn from a lot of the leaders that I come in contact with, and just be able to grow with the company. There's not too many opportunities you have to, just be surrounded by such a cadre of people with so much credibility and confidence in their background. So it's just an honor to be a part of the team and work with guys like Jason and have him be a good mentor for me.
Thank you, Felton. I agree with that. I mean, this community is fantastic, and just to be a part of it is energizing. Jason, you're up.
No, appreciate it. Thank you. And it's definitely appreciate you having us on here today. It's truly a blessing anytime we get to talk to anybody, but especially you. You're so lively and so energetic, and you can always when you're talking with folks.
Thank you.
Much like Felton, I'm also a veteran. I retired from the Marine Corps after 22 years. And I know we're going to get into a little bit of resilience. I had two what I call practice jobs after I retired.
So practice jobs. Is that what Felton has? Are you got a practice job, Felton?
It's definitely a practice job.
It's a teaching job, isn't it?
Teaching job, practice.
For sure.
So that led me to RBLP, which I absolutely love, the Resilience Building Leader Program, because we get to interact with people and just talk about topics that the passion around everything is about people. People make the world go round. So any chance that we can have to have a positive impact on people in their place of work or in their lives, it's very meaningful.
Yeah, awesome. And so what's your take on this fire ant thing and what I led with as far as resilience and planning and people and collection of coming together? What comes up for you as I share that story?
Well, they definitely, they make their presence felt when you touch them.
For sure.
I've lived in Texas for 2 years, and I remember going to a bike, and there's a bunch of trails behind our yard, and I laid my bike down one day when I running around as a kid, and I picked it back up, and there were fire ants all over the handles. So I know firsthand what it feels like to get bit all over. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. They know how to work together. They know what teamwork is about, and they definitely take care of their own. So there's definitely pride and unity.
Yeah.
And they rally, right? I mean,
Yeah, they
just the sheer force of them recognizing that there's an intruder or an attack or something. And they're like, okay, guys, giddy up, go for it. And then they're all collectively going towards that mission.
And that's
It's
the
just
word.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the word that I would kind of go with, and it links up with RBLP, is the collective resilience. One ant by itself, it's not going to do too much damage to your hand. You probably won't even recognize the sting of that fire ant. But as a collective, you can see them trailing a wall, all in sync, to get to that food wherever it's at. When you go to a park like I'm at right now, because I figured this is the best way to show California is to be outside with the flag.
I love that you're outside. I was gonna try to be by the beach, but my internet wasn't good.
I was like, this is perfect for me. But yeah, that the way they work together. You're at a park trying to eat food, and next thing you know, you got a whole trail of ants coming to take a ear of corn away. But they couldn't do it by themselves, and that's what when you're talking about resiliency at work, that's kind of where the win is can you win collectively, because you can't do it by yourself as much as we try, because you got a lot of competent people out there that's like, I can get it done by myself. But every time you learn that lesson, it takes the whole team to get it done.
Well, and to Jason's point earlier, maybe it was you or Jason, I can't remember who said this, but I can't remember being bit by just one fire ant.
Right. You can't.
Right. So I mean, when I've gotten bit, it's a whole bunch of them. I mean, they're all working together for the same mission. And that's also stuff that we teach in RBLP too, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that too, one of the things we talk about a lot is, creating a positive climate, developing cohesion, and providing purpose. When you think about it in a construct like that, think of the leaders that have been really good at bringing people together with a focus on accomplishing whatever the job may entail. And, fun fact, Felton and I actually worked together when we were still on active duty. And I will tell you, Felton is one of those leaders that I watched him in his role as an operations manager he was frustrated. I knew he was frustrated, but he never let the team realize that he was so frustrated. He would get their take on something. He would turn it into a positive training evolution. And whenever he would either get off the phone with them or leave where they were working, they always felt lifted up and knew that Felton had their back. And I personally think that those types of leaders are really few and far between. So any chance I have an opportunity to work with Felton, I know that there's positivity involved, because he makes that impact, not just in the workplace, but in his family life as well.
Well, and you touched on a few things, and I love that plug for Felton too. It's as far as there's a remaining calm component to that, and paying attention to the collective. The positivity is certainly there. But there's also what we've talked about is the continuous learning. So you touched on that. I'd love to hear Felton's thoughts on, we may not like the situation. However, I'm going to learn what I need to learn, and the team is going to learn from it and do something differently. What do you think, or what do you want to add to that, Felton?
Yeah, just a recent example, because I'm in an operations role again. And that calm is getting tested every day. No, but
yeah, I get it.
But one of the things that as a leader, you got to know when you have deficiencies, and not be afraid to go learn and grow from those deficiencies, and then you'll see that your team gains a lot from it. So recently, as yesterday, I was taking like this statistics course. Because the numbers come so fast, like boom, 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 they're coming and people want data. And I was like, all right, I need to get stronger on this, because my team needs it. They can't be successful unless I'm able to give them the data they need to be successful. So, I'm over there taking courses, and then next thing you know, I'm sending them, spreadsheets with, hey, this is how this works. This is how this works. This is how these charts look. These are how these charts look. And then I'm getting replies back like, oh, I needed that. I didn't even think since I left college, I didn't think I needed that stuff anymore. And now that's another component to our team that's getting a little bit stronger. So, yeah, you have to be a learning leader to lead successfully.
Well, and that's the evolution. I think that you just described the evolution of I didn't think I needed this. The team didn't think that they needed this. And you're like, well, lo and behold, I do need it. Let's shift. Let's adjust.
Right.
Let's pivot. What's your take on how do you remain calm and be positive when shit goes sideways?
Well, let's, like Jason said, we worked together before, and let's not mistake, in the role that he was in, you see the good, bad, and the ugly of the whole entire unit. I'm dealing with my piece of the pie, but having that calm comes from the people like him around me that I see that are going the extra mile to take care of their leaders. They're not just leaving us out there like, hey, this is wrong and have that zero defect mentality. It's more of, hey, you have the ability to learn from your mistakes. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to where you're not, where you're creating an environment that people can't grow in because they feel like they're fearful, and people that are fearful do fearful things, right? False expectations appearing real is a real thing. So when I can look over there and say, all right, they have a worse situation going on in the command, and Jason is cool as a fan, and he just told me not to worry about it. So if he said not to worry about it, I'm not going to worry about it, and I can just do my job and know that I'm going to be taken care of. And if you know you're going to get taken care of and the expectations are clear, you're going to be able to perform. But if you have those leaders around that don't give you that confidence, you won't be able to display it. Like, I wouldn't be able to be that cool if I didn't have leaders like him there. It's like, hey, you're doing a good job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Even if it was a bad day, I'm like, oh man, I'm about to get my butt chewed. And it's like, no, you did a good job. Don't worry about it. Like, we get to come back tomorrow and do it again. It's not like the whole place is going to burn down. And that kind of stuff gives your leaders confidence, and they're able to reach their full potential.
I love the cool as a fan. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to quote that and use that again. That's awesome. I mean,
Jason's cool as a fan. You be like,
cool as a fan, man. Jason is cool as a fan, man.
Person's in trouble. They're having a good day. It's like, hey, just keep moving, man. You good?
Robert says ice water in his veins. Nice. That's
nice Trae Young, like Trae Young at the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Well,
Jason. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's one of those things where, and you don't necessarily have to be in a leadership role to present that cool, calm, collective environment. I really do believe that all it takes is a catalyst for positive change. And that can be anywhere from, somebody who is just hired into an organization to a CEO. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's about making sure that people know that they have a voice. People need to realize that psychological safety is a real thing. And when you create an environment where it's conducive for people to ask questions, even if, maybe they just aren't aware of something that's happening inside the organization, but when you make people feel safe and they can ask the questions that they need to, or provide any type of advice or insights without fear of retribution. And at the end of the day, it's about respecting where that knowledge base comes from. Because there are some people out there that, and we've all seen the statistics, people don't leave organizations, they leave bad bosses. I get it.
Yep.
And we could say that to every organization, but at the end of the day, it's people that matter. So the people that go that extra mile to create an environment where if you make a mistake, you learn from it. And it's not career ending, obviously, unless it's something illegal, immoral, or unethical. But there are so many opportunities out there for an individual to be successful in an organization when they're given that opportunity to thrive.
And I think what Felton and you are touching on is that you're creating the community of support where you're leaning on one another, you're working together, and you're building a culture of collaboration.
Yeah, and it's important because when you open up the lines of communication and you have constructive dialogue, you're getting to know your team, even in a virtual environment. I was speaking with a leader in a major consulting firm yesterday. He said that they've been virtual, they've been in remote workplaces their entire time since COVID began. But
Right.
the other day, they actually had a meeting where everybody actually turned their cameras on. So it was the first time they actually saw each other in
Whoa.
months. And they all looked different than what their pictures were on their profiles. But it was cool because they were able to engage each other face to face,
Yeah, right.
virtual environment. But you have to have that type of, people want to connect with people.
Right.
We are human beings naturally just want to be around other human beings. That's what makes it so special when you build relationships. But it's important to remember that, especially in a virtual environment. You don't want people just to kind of get sucked into their, being in home and not ever connecting with another human being.
Right. Well, and I find like even now that I think people are becoming a little bit more comfortable with showing their face, but that's part of building the connection, and you can still do it in this way, right? We haven't talked for a bit, but when we do, there's energy there, there's connection, there's collaboration, there's working together. And Amy says hi, by the way, Jason.
Hey, Amy. How are you doing?
She's headed camping right now. She had a whole bunch of stuff that she's like, this is chaos around here. Why? For 2 days, I got to collect all this stuff and put it in my car and get ready to go for 2 days. That's where she's headed. So I'm assuming she's on the road. I don't know.
Drive safe.
That's right. Exactly. Good to see you here, Amy. So Felton, tell me more about this learning environment that you touched on. What's your take on how to create that and foster that, and why is it so important?
I know when we're talking about providing purpose to somebody, I know the purpose that I got was through education. So it's not necessarily education as far as like curriculum from a school book or anything like that, but it's anything that somebody gives me that just sparks something. So I do the same thing at work. Like I'll give my employees books that I've read, and not that I need to say anything extra. They can tell by the content of the book, like where I'm trying to go with the conversation or go with the flow. Like I gave them the book Legacy from with the All Blacks rugby team. So you go through there and there's all these different leadership principles, and the approach.
Nice.
The approach of ownership was the main thing that I wanted to get across to them. If you have ownership of your environment, you're going to go the extra mile to make your environment better. And
that's opposed to like not my problem, right? It's the opposite of not my problem.
Yes. So if you create an environment where people are learning that not my problem is not going to happen, because they're going to be like, oh, there is a problem. Let me learn how to overcome it. I got the confidence that I can learn because I'm always being provided information, and I got the confidence that I can learn something, apply it. And then when I do apply it, when Jason was talking about psychological safety, is my leader an advocate for me. So if I go out my way to do all this stuff and I'm learning and I come up with an idea, am I going to get shut down, or am I going to be like, hey, what can I do to support you? That's a great idea. Let's run with it. And now you created an environment where people are like, all right, now I know if I invest in this, I'm going to get something out of it. And then you just created another, you just cloned another learner. You just cloned another person that's out there willing to support somebody because you gave them something to believe in. And that's where I think the big win in learning comes from, because it's not necessarily something that is relevant to what you're absolutely doing at the time. It could be something totally different. But it adds context to what you guys have. Like in some weird way, it works itself out. But having that platform open for them is the win, because a lot of companies might not have the resources to send people to fancy courses and things like that. So in the absence of that, you have to kind of create that environment yourself. And doing that, I think it's fun. I think that's one of the fun things you can do at work. It's just like, hey, I'm seeing the same content every day. Let me just throw something out there and see what sticks. So I started doing riddles at work. So I'll post these riddles. Riddles?
I want to see your riddles. You're going to be posting those to LinkedIn too, dude.
I post them once a shift. And after I started doing it, oh man, you should see people just going out their way. Like, oh, I haven't done math in so long. Oh, or like there was one yesterday. I was like, what can go northeast, south and west in the span of like 4 miles or something like that.
And everybody's like,
and then you're like, and what color is it? What is it? And what? and they're like, oh well, you know, it's multicolored because whatever, but it's a white polar bear because the only place you can do that is in the North Pole. So like even something small like that is going to trigger something in their brain to get their working and not be in that repetitive mode.
Cloning learners, cool as a fan, man. You got all kinds of good stuff today. I love it. You touched on psychological safety. Jason, you know, what would your advice to be to a manager or a leader or even an influence, someone that can influence a team? How do you create that in an organization to create resilience, create resilient teams?
When I think of great question, when I think of a psychologically safe environment, I think back to, I've been on a number of teams throughout my career. I think of one in particular. We called it Team 16, and we worked in the Pentagon. We worked with the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. There was 9 of us pulled from throughout the Marine Corps. None of us knew each other. I think the Sergeant Major knew one other individual on the team, and that's because they deployed together. We all came together as one team. I know we're LinkedIn Live right now, so I'll share. I actually checked in with a clip-on tie as a young staff because I couldn't. I had a stain on my actual tie, so I was so nervous from day one walking in there in my uniform, and I have my clip-on tie on. I'm like, oh my God, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is. I'm gonna get fired on day one because I'm doing this. But when I walked into that team from day one, everybody was supportive. Everybody, we were solely focused on taking care of that mission. And our mission was traveling around the entire Marine Corps to check on Marines, to check on sailors that were assigned with them, and to make sure that family members were taken care of. There was a lot of discussions that happened inside that office where, you know, it depends on your leadership style, how that conversation is going to go. But when I think of psychological safety, I think of guys like Carlton Kent, because he created an environment where we felt we could bring our best every single day. We all exercised together or PT'd. We all we were going to school. We challenged each other going to school, higher education. We challenged each other on basketball courts, on running. We traveled, and not only did we do that for work, he made it an environment where families got together on holidays. We went and sang karaoke together. And what that did for that group of 9 individuals from all over the fleet is we haven't worked together since 2011, but every single one of us knows that we are there for one another. We will bend over backwards to be there for one another and support one another. So we consider ourselves a family. And, you know, fast forward to any type of organization that is out there that does not have psychologically safe environment, what I recommend, start with active listening. Be the person that, you know, you ask questions. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We need to speak and hear people out, see what they're about, see what they have questions about, and listen with the intent of understanding what they're bringing to the table, and then creating some type of plan to, you know, change, better the organization, or, you know, better the team that's happening. And I think active listening is hands down one of the most important things, because that in and of itself shows trust with your team. It shows respect with your team, and it allows people to understand that they have a voice inside that organization to make it better.
Yeah. That is awesome. You want to add anything, Felton?
Well, yeah, he had the word understand. A lot of people listen to respond and don't listen to understand what somebody else is saying. That's a big barrier when you're trying to actively listen to people. Like, are you observing their body language, or just like you have your agenda set and you're not listening to anything anybody else has to say? You're pushing that agenda, and that's not. He brought up being a family. You know, a family that works. They're authentic. They're vulnerable. And if you're gonna be a solid team, you gotta be willing to do that. You gotta be willing to be a little bit vulnerable, to know that you don't know everything. A little bit vulnerable to know that you need help. Letting people know that you do make mistakes, so they feel comfortable being able to make mistakes. And then that authenticity, you know, that's how you build your respect and credibility. Are you the same every day? Are you coming in or you phony one day and something totally different the next day, and then your team can't rely on you. And then next thing you know, your team is like this instead of that steady, consistent flow that you're trying to achieve.
That is fantastic. Is there anything else that you want folks to walk away with? And we've meandered through this conversation, which was fantastic. I love that. I know I don't want to monopolize your time. We could probably talk about this for, I don't know, a full week. Is there anything else that you want folks to walk away with as it relates to building resilient teams, and how can they find out more about the program?
Yeah, and that's a great question too. One thing that I would say before that, we were talking about purpose prior to, and Felton hit the nail on the head. You know, when you're learning in an organization, you're challenging not only yourself but your team. So one thing that I always recommend to folks is don't just have a performance standard or performance evaluations. I would say give learning goals as well, whether that be a book. It doesn't matter if you're learning a trade, you know, a college graduate, or whatever your education goals are. Don't stop when you get that. Get a certification, you know, read a book, get a certificate, keep that continuous line learning. And the reason that I'm always fascinated with the idea of leadership, because one person truly can make a huge impact in an organization, both negative or positive. So
that's right.
Continuous learning will put you in a position to help build the strength of not only your team, but your organization. And for anybody that would be interested in the Resilience Building Leader Program, it is a series of leadership certifications. Just go to Google and Google RBLP, and you can find out a whole bunch of information about it, or reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Felton, any final comments from your perspective to add to this wonderful commentary that we've had today?
Yeah, what I'm learning, you know, over the years, depending on what your career field is, you spend more time at work than you spend at home. So creating an environment at work that mirrors something that you want to get up and go to is extremely important, especially for retention and keeping people around and keeping people happy, keeping people wanting to work when you're a small business and you can't necessarily, you know, I'm a small businessman. I can't pay you $100 an hour, but you have an environment that you can come in and grow, learn, and love coming to work, you know, and if a business can create that, they're going to get a lot more out of their employees than they would thinking that they could just throw money at them, because it's more to a work environment than just money. People got to find their passion, their love, and actually want to be at the place that they're going to be at for 12 hours. So RBLP is something that I believe in wholeheartedly. I talk about it every day. And it's not because, you know, oh, you work there. It's not that. It's like when you're talking about creating a positive climate, it sounds like, oh, that's so nice, but it is hard to do that. That is hard work.
It is hard. It is hard.
People's expectations are through the roof sometimes, and you have to go out of your way to create an environment that's positive. Is hard work, but with that hard work comes a lot of reward. So if you can bring that to your company, and you know, that's definitely something you want to invest in. Besides anything else that you would see out there, learning how to do that is going to be your win.
I love that. Thank you both so much for this. This is hugely valuable. And for those of you that watch this later, please check out the website. Go to Google RBLP, and you'll get taken right to the program if you're interested in it. And I think you will there's just a wealth of knowledge from these two guys. Thank you. And you both have a fantastic day and an even better weekend.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having us. You have a great weekend.
Of course. Bye. Talk to you later.